Hi, this is Congressman Tom Cole, 4th District of Oklahoma. This is another one of our congressional weekly chats. I would have to say this has been a surprisingly successful week for Congress. The focus in the House has been particularly on two areas. First, the normal appropriations process, where we see individual bills continuing to move across the floor. We passed the appropriations this week for what's called the ledge branch, which is the operation of Congress itself. We also passed a very important interior bill with a lot of actually good things for both energy production, a lot of which is done on federal lands, and particularly for Native American communities as well. So that was a good thing. A lot of big wins in that bill for the state of Oklahoma. Probably internationally, by far the most significant piece of legislation we passed was an aid package for Israel. Again, no mystery to anybody if you've been following the news. Israel is suffering from a horrific terrorist attack and has responded aggressively. It needs American help in that effort. We've done that everywhere from the administration, moving American forces into the area, to us deploying eventual other forces, honestly, to protect American soldiers that are in the region who've experienced a series of attacks sponsored by terrorists that are backed by the state of Iran. Congress also, by the way, moved on that this week, but to do some things legislatively to make it more difficult for Iran to produce oil and to transport it. We'll see other measures taken aimed at the Iranians, who, again, were the sponsors of this horrific Hamas attack on Israel. So, again, I see the House responding quite well. On a good news story from the other side of the rotunda, that is the Senate, they're finally beginning to pass individual appropriations bills, something they have not done for 3 years. They got 3 across the floor in a package deal between Republicans and Democrats. One of them, those bills for Veterans Affairs, has passed the House as well. So hopefully we can begin a conference process where the two houses reconcile their differences, and we can start moving legislation that will be enacted into law and signed by the president, certainly in the case of veterans. But again, we should see more of that going forward. So again, I look on all of those as very, very good things. Again, the passage of the Israeli aid package, which is important in and of itself, was coupled with offset spending, that is spending from other parts of government. So rather than just running up the debt, the Republican idea, let's use some of the money we have that's maybe devoted in less important areas. In this case, it was to the Internal Revenue Service, and use those funds and pay for what's an immediate and pressing American security need. I think that's the right approach. We could debate with the Democrats, who control the Senate and the administration, over what other offsets might be appropriate instead of the one we have. That's fine. But we're going to try and pay for these things in a way that, quite honestly, when we had a totally Democratic-controlled United States Congress, that is House and Senate, plus a Democratic president, they basically ignored those things. So we're trying to reintroduce some fiscal discipline into the spending process, and we had some success at that this week. Let me just end in terms of that with the performance of a new speaker. Mike Johnson was chosen by the Republicans. Mike Johnson had been the vice chairman of the Republican conference. He's a bright, young, able, conservative leader from the state of Louisiana. I'm very fortunate in that we're pretty good friends on a personal and political level. I gave his nominating speech when he ran for Republican vice chair a number of years ago. I couldn't be prouder of him. I couldn't be more pleased with him. I think he set the right tone. And he's somebody that has some principled stance, is moving legislation. We've now passed 3 appropriations bills in the 10 days that he's been speaker. Moved this Israeli aid package across, again, offset. That was one of his top priorities. So we're seeing some success, and I think he'll be someone that, as he develops over time in this role, that Oklahomans will be very pleased with. Louisiana, has comparable values, comparable politics, obviously has the same energy interests that we have. So many areas that we can agree on. Now, he is a proud LSU graduate, so we're going to disagree about football when that starts, and Oklahoma's in the Southeast Conference. But beyond that, I think there's a lot of things we're going to be able to work with Mike Johnson. So I couldn't be more pleased with the leadership election. Finally, I guess I would say it's also an interesting week, very mixed for me emotionally, in the sense that my good friend, Chairwoman Granger of the Full Appropriations Committee, announced that this would be her final term. She's absolutely one of the best legislators and best friends I've had in my time in Congress. She's been here my entire time. She's finishing her 15th term. She's led the Appropriations Committee as the top Republican, first in the minority and now in the majority, with great distinction. And she wants to focus on getting our spending bills done this year, and then finishing out next year. She finishes her term. I'm her vice chairman on that committee, thanks to her. Again, I have very mixed feelings about her decision to leave. I respect it, but I regret losing a person of the character of Kay Granger. She's been a trailblazer her entire career. She was the first woman mayor of the city of Fort Worth, very successful mayor, then was elected to Congress in 1996, has risen through the ranks on the Appropriations Committee. When she was elected to Congress, she was the first Republican woman ever elected in the state of Texas, and is the first Republican woman to ever chair the Appropriations Committee. So she just keeps breaking records. When she decides, when she finishes her career, which will be in about 14 months, we will have lost, I think, a real Texas icon, and frankly, somebody that anybody in the country could look at and say this has been an extraordinary public servant over the course of her career. And I'd be remiss, this is Friday before the last bedlam for the foreseeable future. I'm wearing a crimson and cream tie for a reason on the day before. Matter of fact, we just finished shooting a picture with my two good colleagues and friends who are OSU graduates, Frank Lucas and Stephanie Bice. I'm flanked by them with my proud OU #1, and they're there with their pistol blazing. So obviously it's a friendly rivalry. We each have a different expectation and hope as to how that game's going to end tomorrow, but clearly going to be a great game. Two really talented football teams. We're coming in 7-1 after a disappointing loss to Kansas. They're 6-2 after 4 straight wins. It's going to be in Stillwater, so they're going to have the home field advantage, but I think it's going to be a rocking good game. To all those who go, travel safely, enjoy yourselves, but in the end, hey, my heart's with my Sooners, so Boomer Sooner.